And now we're live. Hey, welcome to the September 13th
13?
edition. What? 13th?
13.
Yeah,
Yep.
September 13th, 2023 edition of Live and Unscripted with your host, Jennifer Saunders. And that way?
Nope, the other way. Yeah, there you go. Ligia.
And
Ligia spelled Ligia.
Leah, spelled Ligia. I love it. Someday we'll tell you the story of the first time I saw Leah's name and the thoughts that came along with it, having no idea who the person behind the name was. Oh my gosh. Welcome to basically the middle of September. I honestly am in a bit of denial that we're at this time of year already. A year ago, I think I don't know if I was in the Bahamas or if I was in Arizona. I was starting about 10 weeks of just wild, crazy travels and thinking, oh my heck, I kind of can't believe this is happening, and it's awesome that this is happening. And I remember several times I had the thought, what will my life look like a year from now if I continue with this kind of energy and what I considered up leveling in my life. And lots has happened since then. And so I'm just a little bit in denial that one, we're this far into the year, and then looking back at all the changes, it's been pretty incredible. Which kind of leads us to our topic today, which we'll get into here in a little bit. But before we get going, just a couple of quick announcements we'll remind you at the end as well. Hey, next year's Surviving Life and Leadership River Retreat for all of our amazing rebel women. August 14th through the 20th. That's the actual days of the retreat. You'll want to plan some travel days or travel day. Is now open. You can put down your $500 deposit to hold your spot, and then you can pay in full if you'd like, or you can pay the rest in two payments. You can go to therighteousrebels.com to find information about that river trip, how to get yourself registered. Now, if you are someone who has already spoken to me, let's just make a couple of things clear. It is by phone call. It is by interview that you will be able to register. We really are protecting the energy of this trip, and we want to bring women together who are wanting to grow and wanting to let go and willing to have the kind of experience that the river brings, because it's going to bring an experience that will change you. You will not be the same person getting off the raft, as the same person who got on the raft. Me personally, I'm still processing some of the things, and I'm grateful for that. And we're super excited to bring that to you. So if you are someone who has spoken to me already, we can get you the link. If not, go to therighteousrebels.com and let's chat. Set up a phone call and let's see what we can do to get you in the boat. We only have 20 seats available. I will say this. You'll be changed. And if you're ready to be changed, this is for you. And if you're scared, this is for you. If you think you can't afford it, this is for you. It really is about you choosing you and really stepping into what you want to be and how you want to show up in your life and in the lives of the people around you. So go to therighteousrebels.com and to set up that phone call. Also, Leah, anything else about that?
There are some options. I think, do we want to go into if you want to save processing fees, there's options that way.
Yeah, sure.
Just really reach out if you have questions, if you're kind of scared about it, you're not sure if you can handle that sort of thing. But it's an incredible experience. And I think just having been through some of the experiences on the river, not being the same person getting on as getting off, I feel like that really played into some tough things that I've been going through in my own world, and just having a calm about me and just I don't know. I feel different, and it's been incredible. So I definitely want to invite you to take that boat ride and see what it can do in your life.
Oh, you know, as you're talking, I was thinking about one thing Ellie said to us. Ellie was one of our amazing guides. We call them soul siblings. We call our guides our soul siblings. We had a spectacular week with them. As maybe it was Arden. It was one of them. Beautiful, beautiful young women, wise for their years, said they were teaching us about going swimming through a rapid if it were to happen, and reminding us that after every rapid, there's calm. There's calm water waiting for you. And life is a lot like that too. And sometimes those rapids seem to go on forever. And but there's calm. And what an amazing way to have a physical experiential activity to really get that principle. So we would love to have you be with us in that week. We're excited to share with you. So again, therighteousrebels.com.
Yes.
For information
in the comments.
Thank you. Also, our live and unscripted for September 27th of 2023. So in 2 weeks is with Brandy Morris. This is somebody that Leah has brought to the show, and I'm so excited to bring her on. When we originally asked her, she was like, you know what? I love that she was honest with us. She's like, I'm not quite ready. I got some things going on, but get back with me. And we're excited to bring her to you. Again, Leah, any teasers or little nuggets you want to share about Brandy?
I love Brandy's energy. I met her when I was on my Toastmasters journey. I was I was trying to get enough speeches in to compete, and so I went to another club and I met her, and I just loved her energy, and I loved she's a coach. She does some public speaking, and there's just a vibrancy to her that I just love. She's one that she introduced me to the concept of the to-do list. Like I've always had a to-do list, and she's like, I want you to flip that a little bit, or I'm going to invite you to flip that a little bit and make a to-do list. Like what was all the things that you got done today? Yeah.
Like that kind of list.
Yeah. And what I loved about Brandy is her, I was doing my mural business at the time, and commissions and painting, and just how in conversations about creativity and that sort of thing that it inspired her to start her own creative journey, and she's just blossomed from that point, and she's doing earrings and stuff now. She's done I'm not gonna tell you more of her story. I'll let her do that, but just a vibrant, beautiful soul, and I'm excited to share her with everyone here. So
I love it. And also, speaking of other cool people, I'm excited to bring Brandy on. I've had some conversations in the last week or so with some other beautiful, amazing souls who are doing, extraordinary things in their own lives, and taking risks to be who they are, and to show up in ways that are beautiful for them and for other people, because they're teaching people. So we'll have Karen from Namaste Yoga. We're going to set up an interview with her, a chatty chat with her. And then also, oh shoot, I can't think of her name. Rainy. All I can think of is Rainy. She does soap. She also is an amazing cook and cooks for the Namaste yoga retreat and certification. So we're going to interview her. There was someone else I was just speaking to. Anyway, we have some fun stuff coming up. And if you're unfamiliar with Live and Unscripted, really is a program. So I used to do a more formal podcast where I went in and did all some of the production stuff and cleaning some things up afterwards. And it's just it was called Living Courageously Exposed. And I thought, this is living courageously exposed, to just have conversations with people that I don't know live, where there's not an opportunity to if to go back in and clean up pauses or to take out the ums and the ands and the oh my gosh, real life. Part of my mission is to teach you how to be and to live in the follies of being human. And sometimes we fumble and we stumble, or we make an ass of ourselves, and that's just part of being human. Did I just say what I think I said? Awesome. And so I love this opportunity. I just thought, I'm going to change this, where I have this opportunity to do it live and let inspiration be the guide. And I love the conversations that come from this, because most of the time I don't really know the person who I am interviewing. And so it really creates this like real raw moments. And sometimes we may not really get deep into their story, and others people will just jump right in, but there's always good nuggets. And I just love the modeling of that. And just example of like how quickly it is and how easy. Did I say something else?
No, you're okay.
I'm like, what did I? Dang.
Sorry.
How easily you can get to know people, and that it really just takes a moment of bravery, a little bit of courage to just start being curious and then asking the questions. So that's what Live and Unscripted is all about. And we appreciate you being here. We know that time is precious, and there's a lot of other places that you could be, and that you're choosing to share your time with Leah and I, and our guest, which is Leah and I today. We're just grateful. So we always start before the conversation with just a moment of breathing. Just again, to set an example of how easy it is to let go of all the stuff that's already happened in your day, and to let go of anything you think is going to happen in your day, to just let your heart slow down and come into coherence, to let your brain slow down, and to just step into that space where inspiration has room to like get in and start moving around, and to just bring yourself into calmness where you can make better, I don't want to use the word better, where you can make healthier, more conscious decisions moving forward in your day. I do this often when I'm driving. I call it tailgate meditation. I see the taillights and I just remember to breathe. So today, what breathing is going to look like is I'm just going to invite you, as you do this, to take a downward gaze or closed eyes, whichever feels most comfortable for you. Again, just to shut out all the stuff. I'm going to pretend I'm not seeing you laugh on the other side of my screen. And I'm just going to invite you to just see your breath. Just watch it slow down, and just see if you can see the waves of it moving in and out of your system. And then just feel what you can feel, and just be present with it. We're going to do it for 30 to 60 seconds. And then I'm not even sure what's going on. Breathing, that's what's going on. So again, downward gaze or closed eyes. I'm going to do it with you. Breathing in through your nose and just out through your mouth, and just getting really present. See if you can feel your mind slow down. Feel your heart slow down. Following the waves of your breath. Seeing if maybe you can feel your heart and your brain connect. And maybe even your gut. I'm going to take about 10 more seconds. All right, when you're ready, open your eyes. Come back into present moment. Okay, what are you laughing about?
I'm sorry. You said the waves, and all I kept thinking was like, the kayaking stuff and Bailey's and just like the holy crap moments. And I'm like, that doesn't feel calm for me. And then I couldn't stop. I felt like a little kid that can't giggle at the dinner table because they're gonna get in trouble. And that made me get more.
I actually wondered if maybe that's what you're thinking about, because as I saw the waves, that's what I saw as well. And I'm like, no. Think of sinus rhythm.
I just saw you on the top of the wave. You're like, oh my God. That was not a good visual for me in going into a calm space.
So Leah, how did that make you feel? How did this breathing meditation go for you today?
Like giggles like erupting from my face, and I have to try and contain them. That's how it felt.
Here's what I love about that though, is even that brings you into a different state of being. It brings you into a more conscious state and a more cohesive state. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Today I felt myself right. Today I felt myself actually start to move with the energy of my breathing and just feel the energy move through my body, which was kind of cool. That doesn't always happen. So we would love to hear what your experience is in just taking, even 60 seconds to just slow down. What is it that you experience? What is it that you feel? What becomes more present for you? And just anything in general about what that is like for you. Part of the reason we ask is so you can practice the bravery of sharing, but also because you never know when your share is going to assist another person, what's going to open a door for them, or be like, oh my heck, they thought that too, or they experienced that too, or oh, they said that, so oh my gosh, like I had a similar feeling and I can share that too. And that's part of, again, what Righteous Rebels is all about, is just being who you are so that it gives other people permission to be. Okay, this next thought is coming in and I have to say it. Like I heard some of you out there be like, yeah, but then people just act like an ass, or they go off and they do whatever they want, or they just do dumb things. And the reality is, when you're actually in your beingness, there's not a need to create disruptions. There's not a need to create havoc. There's not a need to attention seek, or to whatever the thing is that your mind is like, yeah, but just watching people be, you just don't, it just doesn't matter. And we allow other people to be in those spaces too, and to really come into what it feels like to be in their own beingness. So that's just an invite for you, and a reminder that being isn't this crazy sauce thing sometimes we all make it out to be. So as part of being, let's just start moving into our topic today. Part of, for me, and I know Leah has talked about it, we've shared together, and in our conversations, in our not our one-on-one, in our group gatherings, and a little bit through our Facebook page. It's actually a Facebook group, The Righteous Rebels Facebook group. If you're not a part of it, head on over, request to join. Do you just hit join? I don't know. And then we say, welcome, woohoo, we're glad you're part of the family. We would love to have you. Again, that's The Righteous Rebels Facebook group. In our conversations, we're learning that being requires healing a lot of the time. Recognizing why we show up the ways we show up, what informs our choices and our behaviors and our actions, and then like inquiring, doing personal inquiry of like, whoa, does that work for me? Like, does that really work for me? Does it work for me by way of relationships, or in my work, or in my finances, or whatever it is? And then recognizing like, whoa, I am not being myself. I'm being all of the influences that have been put upon me, or that I've lived through in my lived experience. So this actually was a little bit of I had hesitation about talking about this today, uh, because I feel like right now, at least in my area, it's a super hot topic. There's just a lot of paths to healing and ways to bring that into our world. And there's this debate of therapy versus coaching, and sometimes that can be a supercharged and hot topic. And I'm just going to say it right here. We love and support both, and we also feel like that both can be helpful and not helpful. We're just going to put that caveat out there right now. We are not saying you have to do one or you have to do the other, or that one is better than the other. We are just simply speaking from our own experiences of moving through those different paths and ways to healing, and by way of coaching and therapy. Um, I really felt hesitancy. I'm a coach. I'm a certified health coach. I have life coaching coaching as well. I've had life coaches. I've been to counselors, and so I feel like I can speak from my own. I can only speak from my own heart and own experiences. But I know that right now it's a supercharged topic, just with some things that are going on in the news that are very very sensitive and heart wrenching. So right up front, just know what our take is. This is just our take on what our experience is, and why these things have been helpful or not so helpful in learning how to be ourselves. So, whoo, here we are. I know Leah was like, "What is your problem, Jen? Why are you having such an issue with this?"
I get it. I mean, I have some of my own coaching background. I have my psychology stuff. Like, I have experience with counselors and therapists and psychologists and all that stuff. Like, I get that it can be a heated topic, and I think the main point is really there's a lot of different paths to healing, and there's no one right way, and that really we need to take responsibility at some point. That I think the part for me is that we put so much stock in someone else's training and abilities to save us, when really we need to look at how to save ourselves. And I feel like I'm just diving right in there.
Dive right in, baby. Dive right in.
No, but it's true. Like, I think of some stories that you get of people that have been through something traumatic, and there's services offered, and they don't get access to those services 6 months to a year, sometimes 2 years, and it's not helpful to help navigate through some of that at times.
Can I preface what you're talking about?
Sure.
We recently had a conversation with a friend who saw someone die in front of them, and was offered services, but again couldn't get into those services for 6 months. And so they were looking for other outlets, because you got to have, like, you feel like you need it now, and you got to have it now versus waiting. And so yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah. That person was fortunate that he had a really good support group, but he did express like frustration. Like, he was going through some stuff, and it was challenging for him to process, and just it's hard when you're feeling in, I would think, like, crisis mode, because we all have those moments, no matter where we are in life. We all have those moments where we're in crisis, and really having the tools that we need and in place, so we know how to manage those crises. And I think whether it's a therapist or a coach or other form of like, I do art therapy, not as a licensed art therapy, but art therapy as like we do yoga or we do whatever. It's a way of expressing how we're feeling and working through those emotions, and sometimes we can't verbalize those things, so we find other ways to do it, because it has to come out one way or
Well,
another.
again, it's that getting the physical piece involved, which is the slowest way we learn things, but getting it involved so you're in an experiential, and it gets behind the guardians of the mind, as I call them, the thing that's trying to keep us safe. I'm air quoting safe because it's not really safety to keep all that crap in there. And so I love that you use. Notice how I just want to automatically go to like, let me paint some strokes. how you incorporate that into healing, and that you have experience with it. It's cool.
Yeah. I mean, so when you first brought up this topic, it brought up, I published my book last January, not this one, the one before, Living with Dirty Glasses. And it's very much about that journey of my healing journey and what that looked like. And
I'm just going to show it. Here we go. Here we go.
There we go. And in that book, I share just, some hard things, but I lived in hospital for about a year and a half, and I had access to all sorts of therapists. Like art therapy was one that I really gravitated to. And it was cool. Anyways, I'm digressing.
I love the story that you share, and maybe I know you've shared it before, but maybe why we're talking about this specific thing right here, that like tell that story again of like when that came into your existence, and like what your tude was about it, and like just kind of how it progressed from there.
Yeah. So that story is, I was in hospital. I was, they were trying all sorts of medications, just try and see what would stabilize me.
That's in here, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I went through several different types of assessments. I saw many different types of doctors and psychologists and behavioral therapists, and like there was a whole panel of doctors and professionals and experts, and they interview you and they run you through a variety of different tests. They test your cognitive, IQ test. They test your cognitive ability, like all that stuff. And I remember just getting a laundry list labels of all the things that were wrong with me. And it meant nothing. It just meant nothing. And I just...
What do you mean that it meant nothing? Because to somebody it meant something, but to you, what do you mean it meant nothing?
Because I remember thinking, you don't know me. You don't know what's going on. You don't know you're getting a story from my parents, and they're trying to peg me as multiple personality, and that I'm making up stories and I'm living in this delusional world. And you're telling me I'm deeply depressed. I'm dissociative something or other, anxiety, PTSD, and like they're just giving me all these things. But what I mean by it didn't mean anything to me is like, okay, so what do I do with that? What do I do with any of this? It doesn't help me. It didn't ring true to me. Like it just didn't. Somewhere I knew that those tests said nothing about me and my abilities. And I knew I was that gives me like goosebumps. I knew I was struggling, and I knew I was in a hard place, and I knew I was very trapped by my circumstances, and I just didn't have an outlet. And so when I look at that journey and all the counselors and all the therapy, group therapy, individual therapy, all the things, the social workers, like all that, none of that really helped me. And I had to, it was a book. A book is what really brought me out of that space, to just shift my perspective, and just how powerful that perspective shift was for me. And it's a...
Okay, hold on. When you say that it was a book, does that mean like they created a book like of everything that was, or you actually found a book and were like, of like, you read a book or some.
So I attempted to take my life many, many times. And on the last one, there was people, I was transferred to the adult ward because I was just around that age that I wasn't up in the children's ward anymore, but they all knew me and they loved me. And when they found out I was in
Okay,
the,
wait, by that age, like what age?
I
'Cause you were young.
was 14 going on 15, maybe
You're not
15.
not an adult.
No, I was, yeah, I was not an adult. But they came down to see me. I had really good relationships and conversations with them, and they saw me and they saw my struggles, and they, yeah, it was just, they brought down a book when they found out I was in the adult ward, and it was called Succulent Wild Women by Sark. And I remember, one, the book was fun and watercolory, and just her sharing her story, and just like feeling, if you can go through all of that and have the outlook on life that you do. It was the first time in, that 3-4 year journey that I finally saw some hope, and that I life could look different, and just how that shifted everything for me. So, yeah, that's, I have feels around professionals, and I'm just more open. Not that they're not helpful, and not that I didn't gain perspective, and maybe that I wasn't ready for, but somewhere it was filtering through. I know that my art journey started there. I had come back from a really hard visit with my family. It was kind of like, if you don't come home at all. And home was just not a safe place. And I love my family. At the end of the, like, I love my family, and I didn't want to be without them. And but I knew that it wasn't a healthy place, and I was devastated. And I remember just coming back to the ward and sitting at the table and just sobbing. And the art therapist was on duty that night, and she didn't say anything to me. She just brought a piece of paper, a watercolor paper, some watercolors, a glass of water, and a paintbrush. And she set it up in front of me, and she walked away. And I remember looking up, and I was like, what? I'm not a little kid. I don't want this. And like, just incredulous that, how is this going to help me? This is no good for me. Blah, 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 blah. And, and it eventually, curiosity just got the better of me. And I was kind of blown away by, just how seeing the paint move in the water. And then before I knew it, I was making a picture, and I made, at the time my hair was red, and it was like, just, I still have the painting. But it's like a downward gaze, and the girl's crying, and she's got crack lines, like, cause she feels broken. And just how
It's amazing to me that, like, that's like one of the first things that you draw, especially after like whatever stupid.
That was for kids,
right? But then you start drawing that, like, that's amazing to me. That's what came out.
Yeah, I was feeling, just putting down what I felt. And I just loved how the water felt on the paper, and how the colors, spread. And I just remember in that moment, like, just the quieting of the chatter. Like, it was just a storm in my head, and listening to the chatter, just like calm. And I did several other paintings, just because I liked not hearing all the chatter all the time, and it just calmed me. And I mean, I've been on the healing journey, since. I'm still on a healing journey. Like, there's so many parts of ourselves that are still needing to be seen and heard, and just understanding at new levels. that healing journey wasn't, I didn't achieve it through, long relationships with counselors. I had conversations. It served me to a point, but I was still seeking something more. And that came through books, through doing hard things, through taking big, scary leaps into like just new things. And, like being a mom, that was part of my healing journey. And, we kind of talked about that today, and how that, because I wanted to show up as the mom that I felt that she deserved, I couldn't do it for myself, but I wanted to be that for her. And that healing comes in all shapes and sizes. And my caution is for people that if you're waiting to be saved, you're going to be disappointed, because no one's going to save you better than you can save yourself.
Yeah. Woo.
Just jump in.
I love it. I love it. And I appreciate you sharing. I actually have been waiting for you to share those pieces more, because I think they're very valuable, and there's someone out there, or maybe many someones, who your experience of that time in your world will be really, really helpful for. And I'm a huge believer of and somehow I knew this at a really young age, and I'm grateful for that maturity of knowing that when we share our stories, it opens the door and lets other people be vulnerable to share theirs, and to give meaning to their lived experience, and that it's not just something that they're going through that has no purpose, or is just to make their life sucky, but really that there is value in all of our lived experience. So, hey, will you do me a favor and make sure that I put that information incorrectly for Succulent Wild Women? I don't know if I spelled Sark right.
Yeah.
And so I just appreciate you sharing, and because I know it's tender, and it's super vulnerable, and I appreciate that example and that modeling. Part of again why we do this part of the Righteous Rebels is so that people can share their story, they can share their journey, and feel it on a different level, and experience it inside themselves at a different level, and to recognize that something they say, you just never know when something you say may be the thing that saves another person's life, whether that's actually saves it in a physical way, or saves it in a spiritual way, or whatever it is, or how it may just be the boost to get them to the next level that they've just been not quite knowing how to get to. And so I appreciate you sharing.
I mean, that's a big part of why I felt so called to write the book, because I felt so utterly alone, and so so ashamed of what I was going through and what I did to myself. And just to let people know that it's okay, and there's ways through those hard things, and saying all the things that we dare not say, and putting light to those places that feel dark, and knowing that there's not as I want to say desperate as they feel sometimes. So
yeah, again, that's Living with Dirty Glasses by Ligia, spelled Ligia, and you can get it where, Leah?
On Amazon.
You'll put the link in the comments.
Yeah, I can do that.
Thank you. Leah has also authored a second book called Remember When. We were having a conversation this morning about wanting to be an author, and Leah spoke it in a way that I was like, no, you don't get to discount yourself, because you've written 2 books. Have they flown off the shelves like every new author would hope that they would? Well, she's newbie at it. So I'm just going to tell you, here's another one. Here's another one you can get. This one's really cool. And maybe we can go into it later. But those are the 2 books that she's written. And then while we're at it, we've written a journal.
Yes,
for
we have.
the Righteous Rebels called My Revelations Journal. It's about unpacking the mountains because they were meant to climb versus carry. Incredible journal, if I do say so myself. And when you come to our events, a lot of times, depending on what the event is, you'll receive one of those inside your swag bag, or they will be available to purchase, or you can just go get it right now at the link she's going to put in the comments.
Yippers.
Okay, so for me, I have had experience with both counselors and life coaches, and I can't say that I had a bad experience with the counselor. Sometimes it's about the fit. You got to find one where you really you jive and you fit. And I just want to make that noted. Like if you're having an experience that doesn't feel so good, it might not just be a good fit, and maybe take a peek at looking for a different resource by way of a counselor. It's just like personalities and friends. Like we just don't all fit. I actually didn't mind my time in counseling. I found lots of very valuable things that gave me tools that I didn't have, help me gain some insights that I didn't have, and start that journey of peeking inside of myself to start the healing journey. I didn't always agree with what they said. Sometimes I felt like it was really rigid, and because they do have a set of rules and ethics that they get to follow, that they choose to follow, if they are, I don't want to say being a good counselor, but following the creeds of being a counselor. And that's important. That's important. For me, I always tend to take, from the time I can remember, I like to take a more spiritual, natural path to things. And for me, that just works. And so when coaching came about and I was exposed to opportunities to start learning in that direction, I tried it out. And for me, that's actually where my heart is drawn. I feel like for myself, I love the idea of working with energy. I think there's different questions that can be asked. There's different modalities that can be used that for myself just felt more authentic and more assisting than maybe some of my time with just sitting on a couch talking with a counselor. And for those of you that works for, amazing. I have friends and people in my world who are like, oh my gosh, I love my counseling. Everybody needs. That's amazing. If that's the thing that works for you, do that. But what I'm going to say is, like, be open to both modalities. I think they can work very beautifully together. And just by way of the different things that they offer and the different personalities that step inside of those professions, or those certifications. I personally thought that maybe growing up I would be a counselor. And then there was just something that drew me more again towards becoming a coach. I love the inquiry pieces. I love, again, that I can just ask different questions, that for me, I feel like bring on a different, how do I say that? Just a different energy to the healing, I guess is a way to say that. And for me, that works better in my world and in my being. So I don't even know where to go from here.
Yeah, when you're talking about that and personalities and fit, it makes me think of sometimes I feel like counseling or therapy or even coaching or any way that you choose to go is it feels like a bit of a lottery. And whether it's like accessibility, whether it's compatibility, whether it's modality, like what your the methods that you're learning and practicing and sharing. I know one practice that used to irritate me with counselors was the pregnant pause. like I had nothing to go off of, and they just sit there in silence. And I was like, I don't even know what to say. I don't know you. Like, I don't feel like I didn't feel anything. So I couldn't say anything. So we just sit there in silence. Like, and I think that's the part I appreciate about coaching. Like you said, it's more like a discovery, and, you know, what is it you're looking for? What is it you want to get out of this? So you have some responsibility of some of that outcome and what it looks like, and that you're more of a, I don't know if a guide is a good word, but just.
And we do use the pregnant pause, just saying.
I know, but as like, you know, 13, 14-year-old kid, it was irritating.
Right. Well, and as you're talking, this is coming to my mind is, whether or not you're in counseling or you're in coaching, be really mindful of people who tell you what to do. It's my opinion and my perspective that my job as a coach is, again, to just guide, to ask questions. It's not my job. I don't have the answer for you. I don't have the answer for your life. I only have my own personal lived experience and the stories and experiences of other people that I can pull from, but I don't have your answers. And if you're with, my opinion, again, if you're with a good therapist, they don't have your answers either. And they're not going to tell you that they do. They're going to help you discover those things for yourself. And my job as a coach is to help you have autonomy and to learn to be sovereign and to come home to yourself, which again is the whole premise of Righteous Rebels, is to learn to come home to yourself, to know your own heart and to know and speak your own voice. And that doesn't mean you're going to go off the rails and do stupid, wild, that doesn't, when you're in your home, you don't do stuff like that. There's not a need to do things like that because you're settled with who you are. You love yourself. You know how to take care of your needs without bringing other people into it. Although, again, we got to have other people. We got to have other people. We're built for connection. And I think part of the issue that we're seeing, again, which brings the sensitivity, I feel like the sensitivity into this topic is with what we're seeing right now in the news and what's been in the news in our area for several years now, is when coaches or even therapists I'm just going to call it a God complex, and they think that they are the way, and they start having rigidity in their practices and with the people that they're with, or that they know all of the answers and you've got to do it this way. I think when you start experiencing that, or you do experience that inside of, again, a therapy or a coaching situation, you gotta listen to yourself. You gotta feel that out. And if it doesn't feel right, it's probably not right. And that's where you get to really practice that autonomy and say, this doesn't feel good. And be brave and courageous and step out of it. Find someone else. Discover what doesn't feel good about it. What's not ringing true for you. So being really mindful of someone who says, I have the way. I have the program for you. And I will tell you, like, as we're putting stuff together and really building out the Righteous Rebels, I'm not here to tell you what to do. That's not my job. It's not my responsibility. And it's just not good ethics. I don't love it. I don't love being told what to do. And now I do love hearing other people's perspectives from their experience. And I'm very selective about who gets to share that information with me, because I know I usually have a fairly good idea what I'm looking for. And it's not that person can solve it for me. Again, it's just that I might need a different perspective that I'm not seeing based off of where I'm at in the current moment. So at Rebels, we don't tell you what to do. We set up really amazing activities where you can use all of the different bodies that you have. You can use, and especially the physical body. where you can actually get in and live it in your physical body and have it marinate and move into your mental, emotional, spiritual bodies and really accelerate healing. I love that part of things. I love how that has worked in my own life. You know, when I'm talking about coaching, the story that just came to mind is when I started running. So I started really getting serious about running when I was in my late 30s. I had little stints here and there, and my life felt like it was imploding. I was getting divorced from my husband. I had two little girls. My sexuality was really in my face, and I was and because my sexuality was in my face, that meant my religion was like all jumbled up, and everything just felt like a gobbledygook of just bleh. And and that really is the point where coaching kind of found itself into my world. It's where I decided to get serious about the 12-step program. I did my first 12-step program on being gay, and well, that's a whole nother story for another day. But running became my meditation, and went along with the coaching that I was receiving at that point. And I would run with questions, and I took those things and I learned to really have personal inquiry. I ran without music for miles and hours on end, um, really getting to know myself, really learning how to be with myself and to understand what was going on inside of me. What was my mind just like spouting off and badgering me with, and what was my heart trying to tell me. And so I really love, and what was amazing is I learned the answers can come like this. Sometimes they take longer, but many times they came in an instant. I also invited God to run with me as my trail buddy. And it was in a place where I was having huge spiritual learning. I call it learning by fire hose. But the physicality piece for me is what really helped move things quicker and really solidify the lessons um, that I was learning. And I, for me, I couldn't get that inside of coaching. That had to come through, or excuse me, inside of the therapy sessions that I was in. In fact, the therapist that I went to accused me of running like that because I wanted attention. And that was one of those moments where I had to be like, excuse me, I'm actually on a journey of self-discovery. And so we got to go back and forth in that. And then I got to choose, do I stay here or do I go with something that for me felt better? So when we're creating things for you, it really is that opportunity for you to start asking yourself the questions. We may present them to you as ideas of things to ask yourself, because sometimes we don't always know. We're not giving you the answers, but we're there to hold space for you while you learn them, and while you maybe muddle through some of the shiz that comes up when you're asking yourself the questions, or you're swimming through a rapid, or waiting for the calm that comes afterwards. So
I think so. When you're talking about that, I think of the post I put yesterday about, handing the brush over to other people and allowing them to paint the landscape of your life, and just how you said, like, we have to take ownership of our own journey and what that looks like. And but a lot of us don't have the tools. We weren't raised those ways because our parents were doing the best that they could, and our communities were doing the best that they could. And but now that we're in a different era, and we're talking about it more, and we're talking about tools and how that can help us look at things different and feel them different, and take ownership of our own reactions. I I just remember, growing up, that how you made me do this was a common thing. Like, you are responsible for how I feel, and you need to change. Like, it was all very, you just didn't take accountable. Like, parents knew everything. They were guys, and you didn't dare question them. You didn't anything. And I just feel like we're just in such a different space, that we look at each other different, and we take accountability for, well, if we so choose, we take accountability for our actions.
Right.
But it's freeing. It's not like, oh, it's my fault and I'm going to feel bad. It doesn't mean like badger yourself. It means like, oh shoot, I'm going to look at this and how can I move through it different? Don't let it be something that attacks your character and your sense of identity and who you are because you don't have it right all the time. It's more like, oh, what can I learn from this, and how can I grow, and how can I, it just gives you power, and it gives you your own sense of
Right.
personal power back.
Well, and I love this piece of that, because we can stand and watch somebody use the tools of running shoes and running shorts and backpack, running packs and hydration. But until we actually, like, we could give all of our stuff to someone else, say, here you go to use it, like, go do this thing for me. But they get the benefit of using the tool, not you. You're not getting the practice of actually using it and seeing how it benefits you and strengthens you, or the tool of sitting in an inflatable kayak with a tool of a paddle. Like, you can watch someone else do that and be like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. And the lessons you're not learning a lesson, you're watching someone else do it. And so until you're actually practicing and using the tools again, which is part of why I love the physicality part of this, because one, it's a whole lot of fun to do it that way. Is it hard? Yeah, it is. Is it challenging? Absolutely, it can be. But the reward that comes afterward is, because then you're meshing all of those different ways of learning, are just, it's mind blowing at times. And you can't come away from those experiences the same person you were going into that. I mean, I guess you could, but I don't know how. I don't know how. You have to be completely unconscious to not. And so again, I love that we have lots of ways to go through our healing journeys, whether again it's the traditional counselor route and taking advantage of all the schooling and education that they have, or if it's the coaching route.
Or even self-education, Jen.
Like, I'm just going to say self-education, because learning from the experiences of other people, you got to find the way that feels best for you. But the first thing is one, you got to recognize that you could use some assistance, and then take that first step. Take the actions to go get the assistance, whatever it is, whether you're looking it up and starting that way, or you're looking up other people. But the reality, the biggest thing I want to say here is nobody else has your answers.
No.
Nobody else has your answers. And we can get resources, and we can get tools, and we can get assistance in how to use the tools, how to use them more efficiently, and when to pull out this tool versus that tool. But the reality is, we have to use the tools. No one else can do it for it. They're not the answer. They're just assistance to the answer. So,
well, and nobody knows you the way that you know you and what's going to work, right?
What?
And you have to be, I say this in painting, but I really believe it's across all facets of my life. It's like being a master experimenter and willing to be curious and willing to try different things and give it a long enough commitment that you can really say, this really doesn't work for me. And, not just, oh, I tried that once or twice, but like really dive into a tool. Like, I know when I was, I used to really struggle with anxiety and panic attacks, and I knew I was in trouble. I was pregnant with my second child at the time. I was driving, and suddenly I just felt overcome with like this panic, and like I felt like it came out of nowhere, and I'm like, at least I had the wherewithal to like pull over and not full on panic. And I just remember that being a moment where like, I need to find out what's wrong with me, because I had this idea there was something freaking wrong with me, and I need to figure it out and all that stuff. And I think I found a class at the local counseling place, and I went to I think it was Calming the Storm Within, and there was 20 other people there, and that class was incredible for me. One, in recognizing, oh, I'm not the only one that struggles. Two, seeing the varying degrees that people struggle with anxiety was eye-opening for me. And for just learning some of those tools and really committing to like, oh shoot, I have responsibility here, and what thoughts I have are causing these things that I feel are out of nowhere, but really I just haven't had awareness that I was fueling them. And just that was humbling, but it was also so empowering because it gave me a sense of control that I can practice these tools. And there's a workbook and so many different tools. One was I found helpful was like, snapping an elastic band when you feel your thoughts going away, writing down everything that was worrying you in that moment. Because in your head, it's so much bigger. But when you actually see on paper, you're like, oh, okay, I can do with this. I can do this. And the other stuff you learn to let go. Another one that really helped me was like visualizing a garbage, like literally throwing out garbage or the big stop sign, like the the Looney Tunes stop sign, like physically seeing that in my face, like stop, you need to stop, and being physical, like, and just, I feel like if you can identify what it is that's affecting your everyday life, that you want to create change, that if you really want to do that, you'll find a way, and you'll practice different tools, and otherwise you're going to find an excuse and say, oh, it doesn't work. This is just the way I am. But it comes down to having some choice in how you want to move forward and what you're willing to do to inspire that change in your life.
I love it. I know. Whoa. This was far easier to chat about than I originally anticipated.
Really?
Yeah, like I think it's just my own sensitivity of people being very passionate about their professions, and how sometimes people inside of professions are like, no, this is the way to do it. This, like, you have to, it kind of goes to clout. And, having alphabet soup behind your name. And I'm not discounting that. Like, I have some alphabet soup behind my name, but the reality is, it's not the thing that makes me me. It's something that I've done. It's something that's given me some education and some experience. But it doesn't mean that I have the answer. It means I have some tools that may be helpful for you. And it doesn't make me more important than you or anyone else who's doing the thing. I think, again, in this situation or in this topic, it's about following all the topics, following your heart. And really, if you're looking for some outside assistance, because the reality is, at some point or another, we all require outside assistance, because we need the assistance to get outside of this. And I give huge kudos and thanks to those who have assisted me in that, in my personal life, and who've taught me. And just, again, being mindful of what is being shared with you, and the attitude with which it's being shared. Are they sharing tools, or are they sharing, just be mindful of God complexes, is what I'm going to call it. And if you're offended, I apologize. And it's okay. It's the fanaticism of my way is the right way, or I'm not even going to go there. Just be mindful. Fill it out. Follow your heart instincts. And if it doesn't feel right, it's probably not. And there are lots of other people to try out. So, oh my gosh, we would love to. Leah, anything else?
I think that was pretty. That felt pretty good, Jen. And really, there's just books are another great resource. Like, Books are
Absolutely.
a regular part of my everyday journey, just even as reminders. And oh, this beautiful wall behind me. This is part of my healing journey because we are so wired for negative that we need reminders. We need reminders to keep our focus where we want it to go. So this heart and soul wall is all about each tile has a meaning, a lesson I want to remember for myself, but also I put it on the wall so I could share it with my kids and my family. And just having it could be quotes or reminder on your phone, but like you need that positive reinforcement to keep up with those habits and those mindsets and that. So this was one of my ways of doing that.
I love it. And speaking of heart and soul walls, one of the things that Leah and I do as Righteous Rebels is we speak. You feel free to hire us. Like, we would love to come and bring magic to your event. And we also will come to your event and do a heart and soul project with your community, whether it's a family group, corporate culture, maybe it's school, whatever it is. Maybe you just want to gather friends together and have a retreat weekend.
Yes.
We are happy to come and put that on for you. Just reach out, and we actually have enjoyed putting together private events. There's a specialness to that. And so reach out. Let us bring the magic to your events. No, let me rephrase that. Let us add to the magic of your events. And wow.
That was good, Jen.
remember to be bold in recognizing where you want to go, how you want to be, and take the steps. And I want to validate that it can feel scary, and it can feel damn scary. And usually that's a sign that fear is trying to keep you safe. And I would just encourage you to take that fear and put it right alongside you and take it for a ride, and give yourself the tools, give yourself the healing, and give yourself your life. You deserve it. You're worth it. And thanks for being here with us today.
Yeah.
We appreciate the magic that you bring to our worlds individually, but also to the Righteous Rebel community. Next week, I'm not sure what's up next week for Live and Unscripted, but again, on September 27th, be excited and ready for Brandy Morris. And then go get yourself registered for the 2024 Surviving Life and Leadership River Retreat. It's only a $500 deposit to hold your spot at therighteousrebels.com. It's in the comments, or you can reach out. We love you. We love you. We love you. Appreciate you. Remember, be bold. Be brave.
Be a rebel.
All right. We love you guys. We'll see you soon.